Hey, Model Railroad fans. Well, the time is finally here. I've been talking about this turntable since I think my very first video about 6 months ago. And for one reason or another, have just put it off to the side and done the other things instead. So I'm finally going to do it this week. And I'm making this particular recording after the build, so I know what's coming up. I've put about, I'd say 16 to 18 hours into this build. It's been a fun, enjoyable build. The Kitwood Hill turntable goes together so well, so easily. It had a couple of rough spots trying to attach the wires, the cabling. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't even as bad as I expected, actually, after watching a few other videos. So here's how this thing is going to play out. I've done a time-lapse video of the entire build, really skipped no part of it. And it's all included in this video. It will be without commentary. I've just got some music playing underneath. So if you like watching people build things with music in the background like my sister does, this is for you. If you might be thinking about building a turntable like this, it'll give you an idea of the process and you know how it all goes together. If you just enjoy keeping up with the channel and seeing what's going on, you'll enjoy this. But I'm going to put some chapters in here. There are some sections in between when I will do some commentary that I will put some chapter indications for. So if you want to skip through the fast motion parts, that's perfectly fine. Skip over toward the end. At the end, I've got a sneak preview of a couple of other projects that are coming up, so you may want to skip over and find that at the end as well. But looking forward to this video going live. I've really had a good time doing it, and I appreciate you watching. And as always, if you like it, if you like what you see, and like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. right, just a little catch up here. I'll pause the fast motion stuff for just a minute and show you where we are. I have basically finished the pit. I don't know if there's anything else that has to be done to the pit at this point. I've got these two little rings that go on the spider, and I'm not sure. They go right here. But the instructions and the video that I watched or previously have only two rings here, and mine came with 3, and one of them is a different thickness than the other that is similar to it. So I'm thinking that's just an adjustable once I get to that point, if I need something thicker or thinner kind of situation. I'm not really sure, so I'm not installing that yet. It's just a matter of gluing it down here to these tie pieces. But this is what the pit looks like. Let's see if I can get focused a little better. There we go. So I'm real happy with the way that my weathered wood sides came out. My track is not completely finished yet. You see it's still got a lot of the lighter rust highlights, and what I do with all of my track is this last time I will come back. I know it was awfully quick in the video, but what I used on the track pieces was the lighter and medium shades of crusted rust by AK Interactive, and I always hit what I picture in my mind is the rustier spots, the bolt heads, the nuts, the whatever. I always hit them with the lightest rust, and then go back and hit a larger space with the medium or darker rust, and then I'll cover this whole thing with AK Interactive rust streaks at the end, and it just kind of ties it all together. But this is where we stand so far. I'm very pleased with the way it came out. Also, you see the white places. It's still drying. I'm very liberal in my use with my scenic adhesive, my glue mixture, Elmer's glue mixture, and it does take it a while to dry. Note that I did spray these plywood plates pretty liberally with Rust-Oleum camouflage paint, a couple of coats, and then I used the modeling paste. I'll show you that. I used this to sort of cover up the ridges. I'm not totally happy with that. You can still see you can still see how it steps down. I'll cover that with some vegetation. I might even go back in with another layer of dirt once I see it get dry. Was not totally happy with the modeling paste. It went on easily, it looked good, but as it dried, it shrank, and really the ridges that I was trying to cover up with the modeling paste and make it a smooth slope, so to speak, they kind of all came back because of the shrinkage of the modeling paste. So I don't know that I would do that step again. I think maybe just the addition of the dirt and the glue and a couple of layers would have done the same thing just as well. I've got this one place here where my track did, you can see that. I'm going to have to come back and resolder that joint right there. That's the only joint that I can see that did not hold. All the other joints seem to be doing quite well. So let me lift this up and show you where we are in staining these pieces. Shout out to Sierra West. I've watched those Sierra West videos before I even started my very first build years ago, and the technique that I learned there for staining this wood, I don't use stain. I don't use stain of any kind. I use these chalks, and I scrape them off with a razor blade and go over them. You've seen me dip into this many times. All that is alcohol. Now this is my darkened alcohol. It's got a little tint to it. I use it for aging, but I also use it just as the general wash that helps adhere this stuff to the wood. So I'll take these weathering chalks and just scrape them onto the wood in 3 or 4 different shades of what I perceive to be the colors of creosote. basically. I love the creosote look that I'm able to achieve with this. And I don't put it on real heavily. The black, especially if you put the pure black on it, which I do as one of my final steps, I will put pure black on it, but just sparingly, because if you put the black on heavy at all, you're just going to get solid black no matter what other colors you might have used prior to that. So I've got several earth tone colors that I use to weather these pieces, to color these pieces. And another thing that is suggested by Sierra West that I've begun to use is getting these saw marks. And I don't know if you could see in the fast motion exactly what I was doing, but to get these saw marks on the lumber, all I'm doing is pushing down with just my X-Acto knife, just pushing and scraping little saw marks into place. And when you put the weathering powders on it, the saw marks will darken up and really give it that rough hewn look. I also went through and just scraped and cut in gouges and sort of rounded off some of the edges, like right there, so this lumber is no longer really square. It's got some rounded and rougher edges. And then I'll go back in on a couple of occasions and I will use that's got some stuff on it. I'll use my wire brushes and try to bring out some grain look to it. And I also use this little very fine tooth saw, and I'll drag it along the length of the board in various patterns and directions to give it the look of grain. Wood grains in that. So I'm really pleased with that. And these are some of the largest pieces that you'll see in the turntable bridge, and I think they're going to look nice and authentic. I'm planning to glue my rails down and not have any plastic ties engaging in this bridge. And if you watch the other videos online, as the how-to videos, and you're reading the instructions, you'll see that those plastic ties are going to show through unless you cover them up with all three of these plank pieces. See, that's how this would all go together with these three pieces, and then you cover up. But in covering up those plastic ties, you're also covering up all of this gorgeous wood. And so my intention is not to use these two outer planks and leave the outer sides of the bridge track area exposed, and just use this one walk board on the inside. And you see I've stained it a little different color. I wanted it to look more like a gray weathered wood than the creosoted wood that the rest of the bridge is built with. I also went in here. Simon has meticulously laid out all the nail holes and ends of boards and so forth. And I don't know how well that's picking up, but you can see them in these. You can see them. They're made. You can see the ends of the boards and the nail holes where Simon has inscribed them. However, I went in and I wanted this to look a little more used, a little more decrepit. And so I think you can see in this shot right here where I've taken my X-Acto blade and I've gone in where the ends of the boards touch, and I've pulled them up with the blade, and I've also cut down the sides here, and I've kind of wiggled the blade up and tried to raise a little bit of the boards, and I've also cut away a little bit of the boards just to make them look like they've been well used and out in the weather for a while. Let me focus in on that, and you can see. Well, it's not wanting to focus in. Come on. There we go. You can see that I've roughened these up quite a bit. So I haven't stained these outer two pieces because I don't plan to use them. If I do go back and figure out that my gluing technique is not going to hold the rails in place well enough, then I may go back and stain those pieces. Also, this morning when I came in, I realized that I had not stained these two. So that's the first thing I'll be doing this morning is putting the weathering powders to those and getting those stained up. And then I think I've got everything colored and stained and weathered to the point that I can put this bridge together now. So next time I talk to you, I'll probably have the bridge constructed. This will be dry. And the last thing to do then will be the, what do you call it? The, can't think of what it's called. Let me look back at the instructions and see what the thing is called. What am I building here? There we go. The gallows and the stays. That'll be the last thing that I will be putting together there. All right. You see all that there's a good picture of what the rails are going to look like installed. If I don't use the planking, you'll see all of that woodwork on either side of the rails. I will still have the walkway down the middle, but that won't cover up all that lovely wood. All right, it's a little early in the morning and my brain is not woken up yet. Sorry about that. So that's where I am now. The next few steps that I do, I'll put it back on the fast motion, because this is, as you can imagine, this is a much longer build than I could video and keep anyone's attention for that amount of time. But the instructions say that this, I'm curious to see. The instructions say that this is kind of self-explanatory as to how all this goes together. I don't know, Simon. If you saw me earlier in the video when I was putting this piece like this and trying to put some of these cross pieces across, that was just to give me a mental picture of, how this thing is going together. I'm sure it will start making sense when I start putting the pieces actually in place, but right now it's just kind of a pile of pieces that I've got to figure out which ones go on which part of this bridge. So we shall see. I think it's going to all be fine. I've just got to put my mind to it and figure out what piece goes where, and just get it going. So that's where I am today. Hopefully in this little session I can get this bridge put together. And I understand from the videos that I've watched that the hardest part of the entire build is probably putting the cable wires in place. And so that might or might not come today. It might be a few days from now before I get that far, but we'll see. All right, getting back to the build now. that turntable pit is finished. I figured out what that third ring was for. There were only 2 rings that were shown connected to the spider, but the third ring actually goes on the bottom of the bridge itself. I'm not motorizing this. It's going to be totally manual. So once I put the little brass grommet in that hole and everything lined up just right, I had a little bit of trouble over here scraping just a bit. So I don't know if you could tell it in the fast motion or not, but I took my little sanding stick there and sanded that down just ever so slightly. And it is working just fine. Still got just a little bit of a catch right there. I'll probably go back and sand that just a little bit more. It's not enough that keeps it from working. It may just be slightly less than flawless though, and I would like for it to work flawlessly, so I'm going to go back and sand that just a little bit more. But everything is working. You see my glue is still not completely dry. I also, let's see if I can find it. Where is that spot? Right there, where I reconnected those rails and resoldered that. And so everything is working. Everything's looking good. I really like the way the weathered wood turned out on the inside of that ring. Now all I've got to do is build the gallows portion of the bridge, and we'll be ready to install this. Of course, add the track to it, but we'll be ready to install this on the CFT&C. All right, I'll get to work on the gallows part and be back with you shortly. Okay, structurally, I'm done. I've got this is supposed to be the most the craziest part of the whole thing is all these little nuts and washers and bolt heads and so forth that I've got to install. I'm not going to do that as part of this video. Just to give you an idea of what's going to have to happen is there's a square plate and then a round washer and then a bolt head that goes above each of these where these ties are. It goes down through this space in between these two long stringers here, and then there's a series of bolts that go on the outside that hold those stringers together, and there's some other various bolts that and such that go other places, but I'm not going to bore you with that in this video. That's pretty commonsensical, and probably in my next video I will start out by showing the finished product once I get all these bolts installed. But I just thought I would show an overview of the entire project here. These wires were a bit of a headache, but I did get them all in, and they are all permanently glued in place, and everything seems to be operating just as planned. So the next thing I'll do is I will install it in the layout. This is always going to be, unless I decide someday to motorize it, this is always going to be removable. I did notice one thing. My wheels were not touching the rail, and this little brass grommet in the bottom there has a little head on it, and I had it, I thought, facing the right direction. I pushed it down, but I think it must be supposed to be because that little head was holding this bridge up just high enough that the wheels were not engaging with the rail. But now you can see that they certainly are. So I'm happy with it, very happy with it. I'll take it over here and put it in the semi spot where it goes. It'll go somewhere right in here. I've got a hole in the layout there for that little axle to drop down in. There it goes. All right, so there we have it installed in the layout. Not installed, obviously it's got to be dropped down, but that's where it will eventually go. All right, it's been a really fun build. Kitwood Hills makes fantastic models. Their precision in cutting their pieces is just second to none. Every piece in this, there is no, in a Kitwood Hills, at least it's been my experience so far with both the engine house and this turntable, there's nothing you have to trim or cut. There's no measurement guide, nothing like that. Everything that you need is completely pre-cut. The only thing I had to cut on this was the shingles, and I didn't even use the shingles from the Kitwood Hills model. The Kitwood Hills model came with a tin roof, and I felt like I already had a tin roof there, I already had a tin roof there, already had a tin roof there. I wanted something a little different, and these this Sierra West model, of course, came with cedar shakes, and very similar but different to this. This gives this engine house a look that nothing else on this portion of the model has, the layout has. So I'm happy with the way that turned out. I'm very happy with the way the turntable turned out. I'm gonna dig a hole for it, get it installed, get these little bolts and nuts put on it, and probably the next video I will do an operating session featuring the turntable and or the engine house. now that I can use both of those things in the layout. So looking forward to that. In the meantime, if you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe. There'll be more build videos, more structure videos, and more operation videos coming up. Getting really close to that second module on the back side because there's only one more thing to do here. Oh, let me take you over here and show you. I've sort of put together, this is Blue Sky Company from Sierra West. This was supposed to be the place where the railroad camp went, but I still have not received the railroad camp from Sierra West. Don't know when I will. Not knocking Sierra West at all. You put in orders with them and it takes quite a while to fill those sometimes. It just depends on what Brett is working on at that time, is whether he's gotten to it or not. I have spoken to him. He assures me that's in the pipeline. But what I'm thinking of doing here, I'm going to stop the video and turn on the light, and I'm going to show you what's going on over here. Okay, so change of plans, at least temporarily for now. This is Blue Sky Company, and this little section right here on the end of Blue Sky Company is a little gasoline pump and country store area. And it only makes sense for that to be on a road. Now this is where truck repair was sitting, okay? And it may sit there again, especially if in the meantime I get this other Sierra West structure in. But these two structures are approximately the same size, and they really perform the same function. They're both just kind of ubiquitous warehouse type places. So either one of them would be receiving shipments of box cars and flat cars occasionally. And that's all that really matters to me from an operational standpoint. However, this little store wouldn't sit here at the end of this little dead end area. And one thing this layout has been missing is some grade crossings. And so I'm killing two birds with one stone here. Here's what I'm doing. I am creating a grade crossing right here. It'll follow this road from there. It'll run between this now will be a road instead of a parking area. This will be a road, and we'll have a grade crossing there and a grade crossing here. And it will come on out to the edge of the module. Hey, it'll give me a chance to blow the grade crossing signal every once in a while when I'm doing operations. So I'm kind of liking the idea of putting a grade crossing here, and that'll give the people a purpose to drive by and park back here for this little general store area here at the end of Blue Sky Company. So I may slide the truck repair shop over here, or as you see this template here, that's the template for the rest of Blue Sky Company. Blue Sky Company is really a 30-inch module in itself and would fill up this entire area. This over here is a tractor repair area. It's a fenced-in area. It's got a little lean-to shack and a bunch of stuff going on over there. Or I may use that somewhere else on the layout, put the truck repair here. Or I'm even thinking about sliding the truck repair shop all the way around to the back side to the Ethereum Springs portion of the module. But what I'm really liking is if you stand back here, you're going to get a shot of a road that starts here, runs all the way through there and around the bend and through the backdrop. So I'm really liking that. So I'm going to end this video here, and without much further ado, I will leave you with some still shots of the build as we fade out here. And as always, if you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe. We'd love to have you part of the channel. And as always, happy railroading.